Welcome to Screenology, where I talk everything on the big screen. Or the little screen. Spoilers ahead, so watch at your own risk. Luca. Where to start? I actually love this movie, and I think it is really flying under the radar for people who do not have Disney Plus, but I'm not trying to get you to sign up either, since it's also not a movie worth raving about, say, like Coco, for instance. But this coming of age film was luckily one of the lesser cringe ones that I've come across. I mean, it beats The Kissing Booth to a pulp, so that's the main thing. Of course, Pixar never disappoints with its visually stunning movies, along with the awesome audio effects used throughout this movie in particular, due to the fact that quite a bit of it takes place underwater. So they make the audio sound as if it's slightly muffled, because that's ultimately what it would sound like if we spoke underwater. I also love the idea that the underwater scenes were a little more murky looking than that of the scenes shot above water, which felt a lot more crisp, like the water wasn't clear. A lot of my love for this movie does come with the colors, the sounds, and the absolutely amazing dreamlike scenes. Anyway, we get it. Pixar pays obvious attention to detail with most things, like even the wool in the shirt, bellissima. That would make this simple movie even more enjoyable for you if you're one to love detail or picturesque scenes. Moving along though, the film centers around Luca, a young fish human hybrid thingy who is intrigued by the human world and can become human once he hits the surface. No, he's not related to Ariel from what I know, but regardless, Luca isn't allowed to go on the surface, but he eventually does and realizes he loves it so much that he'd like to stay a bit longer. He also makes a friend named Alberto, and his parents are enraged and want to send him away to the deep sea where he'll be safe. Of course, he makes an escape for the surface world with Alberto and starts enjoying his life on 2 feet, with the hopes of winning a Vespa. It's a really simple movie in regard to the plot, which made it so easy to watch and enjoy for me. I didn't really have to think deeper or keep up with the message that was being portrayed. I just simply knew from the beginning that the movie's premise was about acceptance and embracing who you are, along with not being afraid to show it to others. Well, it was either that or Pixar signed a massive deal with Vespa for one really long commercial. We see this young fish boy Luca who is scared to be what a part of him truly is, and that is part human. He eventually gets comfortable enough in that skin, and both him and Alberto are scared that others in the town would reject them, so they conceal their identity. Rightfully so, seeing as the small town they were competing in a race for their Vespa had some real anti-fish agenda. Honestly, it's like, how many fish-killing monuments can you have? Either way, Alberto is soon to be revealed as a fish when he and Luca fall into the water while practicing for their race. Alberto was the one to throw himself in the water on purpose to show Julia that he and Luca were sea monsters. He did so because he clearly had a pang of jealousy about the nature of Julia and Luca's friendship. Which is understandable after we realize the fact that he has no one else besides Luca. Luca, not wanting to be recognized as a sea monster out of fear of rejection, cowers away from Alberto, who seems pretty torn up by that. Like, literally, he doesn't even move when Ercole throws the spears toward him. Alberto probably does make no effort to move since he's so hurt, and he feels like he doesn't even have anyone at that point, since he no longer had his dad. It's obvious from Luca's face how bad he feels about the whole ordeal, but he didn't want to give up the chance to be friends with Julia and learn more about the world that he was yet to discover, like what the stars, or fish as they called them, really were. Julia eventually puts two and two together and accepts him for who he is, so he decides to go ahead with the race on his own. Of course, it's predictable in the sense that the big event will also entail the two boys being revealed as sea monsters, so it's one of those movies that you can watch and already know what's going to happen. But that's kind of the beauty about it. I find we have a lot of movies these days where the ending is so elusive or it tries so hard to make this big twist, and sometimes you just want something simple. Nonetheless, the two boys end up being revealed as sea monsters, and Ercole gets put in his place by Julia, and the town, who seemingly had a really anti-fish agenda, are just okay with the boys in the end. I found this to be a really cute wrap-up for the story. Both the boys were accepted as they are, and Luca was able to go off with Julia to Genova for school. No idea how the parents who didn't make human money were able to do it, but it was the perfect ending either way. Luca gets to learn about the fish in the sky, discover the different parts of Italy while not being afraid of who he truly is. A lot of people on the internet took this to relate to coming out and even said it held vague similarities to Call Me By Your Name. I could agree with that sentiment, seeing as when I first started watching the movie, I sort of felt like there was this innocent crush happening between Alberto and Luca, but honestly, I looked past it and I saw it as a couple of best friends who really just want a Vespa to ride together and kind of have adventure. They both needed a friend and acceptance for who they are, and that was ultimately what they were able to get. Even Alberto, that had no father, was able to get out of a position that he didn't like, which was off the island, and found comfort with Luca and Massimo, Giulia's dad. I think the message can also be whatever you make it. If it was about acceptance of being LGBTQIA+ for you, then that's definitely something you can take away from this movie, as that is the beauty of art and film. It's basically made to be interpreted. The one thing that did bother me was that the movie was actually really fast paced, and I think that's why watching it felt really short. I feel like there was a lot of time spent on building up to the last scenes, and never really felt like we got a slow moment until the end. It was just this one big, rushed story about a Vespa. Even the picturesque scenes where he experiences the fish felt rushed, and the slow moment we have with Alberto and Luca is probably the only time something feels decently paced, but even that was still fast. Besides all of that, I love the premise of accepting who you are even if you're different, because people will be different from you and you will be different from others. And Pixar captures that in this wonderful coming of age film. It was a nod in the right direction about, hey, if someone doesn't look like you or act like you, that's okay. They can still be your friend and be or act just like us, even if there's something that makes them different from us. I definitely feel this movie fell under the radar, especially with the little to no advertisement for it from my perspective. That might also be because it was only released on screens, as in on the computer, and if you have Disney Plus, you would know that, but if you didn't, then you may not even know about this movie at all. So I highly recommend checking it out if you want something lighthearted and simple to watch. So go and support this wonderful Pixar movie that leaves you feeling warm-hearted in the end. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little segment on why I liked Luca, and let me know down in the comments what the meaning was for you of the movie. Maybe it was something completely different. Consider leaving a like and subscribing if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you for whatever's next on screen.